Do you like the feeling of watching your enemies panic as your flashes completely ruin their ranked experience? Well, boy, do we got a treat for you guys today. We want to give our take on which flash agents are the best currently in the Valorant meta. What's going on, ProGuides family? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today is going to be all about those deadly flashes. These are the best flash agents ranked from best to worst. I want to preface this video by saying that this tier list is targeted towards ranked gameplay rather than what you may see in pro play or in a well-organized team environment. With that in mind, these are the agents we feel have the best overall kits as flash agents that can allow for you to have better influence over your games. When mastered, most of these agents have the ability to completely take over a game. Starting off the S tier, we have Reyna. If you've caught our previous videos about Reyna, one thing is very clear. She is the queen of snowballing, especially in ranked. You might think that her role as an agent is primarily a noob stomper, but you will often see Reyna go highly contested in even Immortal Plus lobbies, and for good reason. Without a doubt, she's one of the best flash agents to learn if you want to carry the game in the fragging department. With patch 2.03, she was hit with a slight change. Now she only has 2 orbs instead of 4 at her disposal at all times. However, she doesn't need to get the kill finisher in order to dismiss or devour now. Although this is a nerf in general, I believe that the two are still great. How often do you really get 3 or more kills per round? Most of the time you won't be doing this, so this can also be seen as a buff in its own right. Every other agent on this list is still great, but their kits are tuned to fit other needs more often. With that said, let's talk about why Reyna is so great. Since this will be a tier list for flash agents, let's dive into her leer. Reyna has access to a maximum of 2 leers, which is pretty standard. What sets her apart from other agents on this list is that it acts mainly as a blind. Simply put, you can't just turn away from this ability. Instead, you either have to destroy it or run away from it in most cases. It can also go through walls, and on top of that, it doesn't blind your teammates at all, because you'll usually have to shoot it or you die to a Reyna peek. Her leer is especially deadly in ranked where players are less coordinated. You'll be able to isolate your targets easier, so finding that pick off of a leer or two can easily snowball into dismiss and devour as the round progresses. The simplest yet effective trick to ingrain into your brain is to throw your leer as high as possible. By doing this, you make your shot harder as your enemy will have to aim high and reset all the way down. Doing this will cause them to drastically change their crosshair, which will make it harder for them to land those shots on you and buys more time for you to find your shots on target. Lastly, I want to touch up on her dismiss orb. Obviously, her Devour is great at healing yourself in many situations, but what sets her apart from the rest of the cast is her ability to constantly be untradeable. Other than Jett, Reyna is the only other agent that can get away with very risky plays, because as long as you can secure a kill, you will be able to instantly dismiss and reposition safely. And if you get another kill after that, you can dismiss or heal again. If you didn't know, her ultimate lets her grab unlimited amounts of orbs, so if you keep getting kills in your ultimate form, you won't run out of souls to devour or dismiss. Before we finish out the S tier on this list, we have our question of the day. Today's question is, which Counter-Strike map would you like to see replicated and added into Valorant? I know this has a very unlikely chance of actually happening, but the lack of maps in Valorant has really made me miss some of the classic Counter-Strike Go maps. Personally, I'd love to see some form of Cache or Mirage added into Valorant. I would love to see how it functions in Valorant, and I would love to see how the agents would affect the map design. Let us know which maps you would like to see in the game, or even tell us if you would not like to see Counter-Strike maps in Valorant. Let us know that too. Next up, we have the smoke criminal himself, Omen, who is well deserving of a spot in the S tier. Not only is he the best all-around smoke control agent in Valorant, his blind is without a doubt the best form of single non-ultimate CC ability in the game. Nothing quite matches the feeling of getting blasted by Omen's blind, and it doesn't even come close. Obviously, something like 3 breach flashes will do more than 1 blind, but just comparing a single Omen blind to any other single flash or blind, there is simply no contest here. It's also great for both pushing and holding areas while you wait to unleash its fury on your aggressors. Some flash agents struggle with flexibility like this, which I'll cover when we get there. Enough about his blind though. The real reason he's S tier is because he's a vital part of almost every team on every map. Even with the recent Brimstone and Viper buffs, Omen has stayed cemented as the premier smoke agent, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Because his smokes are entirely free and regenerate over time, he has the option to execute really fast or slow down the tempo. Instead of having access to 3 smokes in total like Brimstone, which Brimstone has to pay for mind you, he can get up to 5 or 6 smokes out depending on how long the round goes. This type of flexibility is why players love this agent so much. On top of that, his smokes are much longer range, making it harder to pinpoint the location of where Omen is based on where the smokes are in play. Couple this with his Shadow Step and his Global Teleport ultimate, he can quickly traverse the map or get into positions you wouldn't expect a duelist to maybe be in. There's good reason he has become a core agent in the meta, and the recent nerfs aren't stopping him anytime soon. If you want more specifics about controller agents, head over to our previous video comparing Omen and Brimstone together. If you guys need even more information, always feel free to book a session with any of our great coaches on ProGuides.com. They can help you find an agent that fits your playstyle, and they can also go over smoke placements, flashes, or whatever else you want to work on. Starting off the A tier, we have our British boy Phoenix. For our first impression, he has a lot going for him. There are some parts of him that definitely limit his viability on certain maps, for example. Most of his kit is very versatile except for his flash. A limiting factor with Phoenix's flash or curveball is that you can't use it from range. This makes it difficult to set up your teammates from afar and really cements him as an entry-only agent. Don't get into the mindset that this is a terrible thing though, but in ranked, things that limit how you can play will make you more predictable. There are less mind games you can do with this curveball, but it's still very strong for what it is. In pro play, many teams need an agent willing to entry like Phoenix, so it's not a big deal in that context. I might have made his curveball seem bad, but it's actually quite the opposite. If you want to get the most out of Phoenix in general, becoming comfortable with this flash is a very big part of it. You want to angle the curveball in a way where it comes around the corner and pops instantly. A lot of inexperienced Phoenixes will let the curveball come out too far, which makes it much easier to react to. Watch someone like Drone or Sabrosa play Phoenix and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't just stop at his flash though. I'd argue that he is one of the best ultimates in the game and is extremely easy to use off cooldown because of how high value it is. It's able to obtain info, get kills, take space, and it heals you to 100 HP. Let's say you are sub 100 HP and you want to use your molly or wall to heal yourself. Think about popping your ultimate instead if you're in a position that is relatively safe. If this tier list was targeted more towards pro play, Breach would easily be in the S tier without a doubt. With 3 flashes that can be done at extremely long ranges and go through most terrain, a master of Breach will single-handedly make you regret playing anywhere on site. Even though his kit is filled to the brim with CC, his main issue that prevents him from being in the S tier is because he's a very difficult agent to master. Because he has so much delay on all of his abilities, having great game sense is a must when playing Breach. On top of this, it's much harder to use his utility in a selfish way, and often relies on you using his CC abilities to let your teammates take space or peek with them. Oftentimes if you're flashing for yourself, the timing isn't as great and you can be caught with your pants down playing close with a flash. As the Valorant meta progresses over time, ranked will become more team play oriented, and you will quickly see Breach become a more core part of the meta and ranked experience. I just hope you guys will be ready to be full blinded all game when that time comes. The newest edition of Valorant, Yoru, is quite the unique agent. I actually think he's extremely underrated with many things left to explore. His kit largely resembles Omen if it was more geared towards the duelist or dueling aspect of Omen's kit. His flash alone is a lot like the standard flash from Counter-Strike where you have to bounce it off of terrain. This also means that there's a lot of creativity that can be done with Yoru's flash. I would imagine that players will eventually learn how to pop flash with this agent with ease, which might make Yoru more viable within the meta. It also can be thrown at a farther range, and because it must bounce before it pops, it's great at setting up teammates too. Overall, his flash alone I think is one of the best in the game, but for many players it will take a while before others to catch on to its intricacies. Outside of his flash, I see huge potential with his teleport. Especially with how chaotic Valorant has become, there are many times where I've been able to get a good teleport behind enemy lines. Unlike Omen, it's an activatable teleport and has a much longer range, so you can get into spots that a lot of players don't expect yet. Without a doubt, there will be lineups that people figure out to get Yoru into pretty cheeky spots that will be pretty hard to counter. I personally think he's great on Ascent and Haven from my testing, but I would not be surprised if he was one of the better agents one day if the other agents got tweaked. My only gripe with Yoru is his ultimate. I don't think it's terrible, but in ranked, it's hard to get the same value out of it in comparison to other duelist agents like Phoenix, Raze, Jett, or even Reyna. It lacks the kill presence that makes his ultimate feel more like it belongs to another agent class. Last but definitely not least is Skye. This is probably the most controversial part of the tier list, but hear me out. Skye is actually a very strong agent with a lot of potential. She is basically what Sova and Breach would be if combined into one agent. However, because Sova and Breach are so strong already, it's hard to justify picking her over the other two. This could easily change though, as I'd imagine Sova and Breach will eventually be tweaked someday, but for now, Skye really has trouble competing with both of those agents. I will say though, she is great on Split and Icebox, so don't feel like you're losing out by picking her at all. Skye has a nice AoE heal, a wolf-like drone, and 3 flashes that also lets you know if the enemy gets flashed by it. They are a little bit tricky to use, but they still have a lot of potential. I think they are a little worse than Breach's because it takes some time for the bird to get in position to flash, but on the flip side, once Breach fires a flash, it's pretty much instantaneous. Her ultimate also chases down opponents and stuns or reveals positions based on who shoots her ultimate. It's a great ultimate to use whenever you want, as you'll usually get value regardless. Personally, I see it as a Cypher ultimate that doesn't directly reveal where the players are. Valorant is in a pretty balanced state with the agents at the moment, but let's not forget about the running and gunning issue. Now that you guys know a little bit more about every flash agent, we hope that you guys can start to grind out more games or whichever one is your favorite. Well, that's all we have for this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. To keep up to date with us, make sure you hit that bell notification, which ensures you stay up to date with our videos and ahead of the competition. If you want to learn more about anything Valorant related, head over to ProGuides.com for the very best Valorant on-demand coaching. I want to mention that our new course with the Pro Player Psalm is now on our website for anyone that wants more in-depth help from a pro. And we also have a promotional code FPS25 that you can use at checkout when you purchase anything on our website. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all in the next one.